the Tariff Man. The rain hammered against the rusted metal roof of Evelyn's apartment, a relentless echo of the ever-present dread in her gut. Another overdue notice fluttered on the thin floorboard, a crimson warning from the Combine about the water tariff. Fear gnawed at her. With her meager job as a cleaner, affording even the basics was a constant struggle. But water? That was a luxury these days. Her daughter, Lily, huddled under a thin blanket, her brow furrowed in a sleep filled with worry. Evelyn stroked her hair, a silent promise to keep her safe. But how could she keep a roof over their heads and water in their cups when the Combine seemed to take a bigger bite every month? Desperate, Evelyn remembered whispers in the grimy alleys, whispers of a smuggler named Finch. He took risks, brought things into the city, things that could help. Swallowing her fear, she ventured out that night, her ragged coat barely a shield against the icy wind. The meeting place was a crumbling warehouse, its shadows crawling with activity. A wiry figure detached from the gloom, his face obscured by a threadbare scarf. Finch. He spoke in hushed tones, his eyes glittering with paranoia. "The Combine," he rasped. "They don't just want money, they feed on those who can't pay." Confusion clouded Evelyn's mind. Feed? What did he mean? Before she could question him, Finch pointed to news holos flickering on a dusty screen, reports of gruesome discoveries in the underbelly of the city. Bodies, withered and lifeless, branded with a chilling symbol. A tax receipt twisted into a macabre grin. A cold dread settled in her stomach. Finch's words clicked into place. These weren't mere warnings. They were receipts paid with life itself. The Combine wasn't just squeezing them dry financially. They were taking something far more precious. Evelyn learned from Finch that the Combine's enforcer, the one who ensured payments were made, was a creature of nightmares, the Tariff Man. He lurked in the shadows, his form shifting, his touch draining the life force from those deemed delinquent. His methods were brutal, efficient, and terrifying. Driven by a mother's fierce love and a newfound resolve, Evelyn decided to fight. Finch, fueled by a personal vendetta against the Combine, agreed to help. He revealed he wasn't just a smuggler, he was a former researcher, one who knew the Combine's secrets. Their plan was audacious: expose the Combine's horrifying truth. They would use Finch's remaining contacts to gather evidence, real footage of the Tariff Man and his gruesome work. The risk was enormous, but the alternative? Unthinkable. Days turned into weeks, filled with tense meetings in abandoned tunnels and hushed conversations under the cloak of darkness. Evelyn juggled her cleaning job with their covert operation, the strain etched onto her face. Yet, every time she looked at Lily's sleeping face, the fear morphed into a fierce determination. One rainy night, a contact brought them the ultimate proof. A hidden camera footage captured a terrifying encounter with the Tariff Man. The video showed a hulking figure with glowing red eyes, its skin a patchwork of writhing flesh. As it reached for a terrified man, his body withered on screen, leaving only a husk with the telltale receipt brand. With the video in hand, they knew they had to act. Finch, however, had another motive. He revealed a plan to disrupt the Combine's power source, a risky gamble that could either cripple them or bring down the entire city. Evelyn was torn. Exposing the truth was crucial, but jeopardizing countless lives? She couldn't stomach the thought. Yet, the fear of the tariff claiming Lily, of watching her daughter fade away drop by drop, made her question her hesitation. In the end, they decided to take both actions. They disseminated the video through their network, a digital wildfire spreading across the city. The Combine, caught with their monstrous act exposed, unleashed a wave of oppression, but the seed of doubt had been sown. Meanwhile, Finch led a ragtag team of rebels to attack the power source. Evelyn, with a heavy heart, remained with Lily, praying for their success. The city plunged into darkness, the silence broken only by screams and the crackling of energy. When the sun finally rose, bathing the city in a sickly yellow light, the situation was unclear. The power was out, the Combine silent. Had Finch succeeded? Had they won? Hope bloomed in Evelyn's chest, but it was short-lived. A figure emerged from the shadows, its form shifting and reforming, the red eyes burning brighter than ever. The Tariff Man. He was unscathed, seemingly more powerful. "You disrupted the flow," he rasped, his voice like nails scraping on metal, but the hunger remains. Evelyn's blood ran cold. The attack hadn't stopped them? Finch and his team, were they? Her heart hammered against her ribs. The Tariff Man loomed closer, his grotesque form casting a long, distorted shadow over them. Lily whimpered in her sleep, sensing the danger. In a desperate move, Evelyn shoved the video recorder into her hands. "Hold on to this," she whispered, her voice trembling. "If something happens to me, show it to everyone." Lily, still half asleep, clutched the recorder tightly, her eyes wide with fear. The Tariff Man raised a hand, his touch shimmering with an unnatural green light. "Payment due," he hissed, his voice echoing in the cramped apartment. Just then, a guttural roar erupted from the building across the street. The Tariff Man whipped his head around, his eyes narrowing. Another colossal figure, shrouded in darkness, emerged from the destroyed power plant. Its form was vaguely humanoid, but monstrously distorted, its limbs crackling with raw energy. Evelyn gasped. Was this Finch? Or something else entirely, created by his tampering with the power source? The two beings clashed in the middle of the street, a battle of titans. The ground shook, windows shattered, and screams pierced the air. The monstrous figure, fueled by a chaotic energy, fought with a ferocity that rivaled the Tariff Man's cold, calculated movements. Evelyn pulled Lily closer, shielding her daughter with her own body. The two colossal figures locked horns, their battle shaking the very foundations of the city. Buildings crumbled, debris rained down, and a heavy fog, thick with a metallic stench, filled the air. The fight seemed to go on for an eternity, the outcome uncertain. Hope flickered in Evelyn's chest. Maybe, just maybe, this monstrous creation was the key to their freedom. But the thought was quickly drowned out by a horrifying realization. The chaotic energy unleashed by the power plant was spreading, corrupting everything it touched. Plants withered, metal twisted, and the air grew thick with a sense of impending doom. Even the sky above seemed to twist, taking on a sickly yellow hue. The monstrous figure, fueled by this corrupt energy, seemed to be losing control. Its roars became erratic, its movements unpredictable. It started to lash out at everything around it, friend and foe alike. Evelyn felt despair grip her heart. They were caught between a rock and a hard place. The Tariff Man might be monstrous, but this chaotic entity was a different kind of terror. Suddenly, a memory surfaced in Evelyn's mind, a scrap of information Finch had shared about the Combine's technology. A failsafe, he called it, a way to shut down their systems in case of a critical overload. Hope flickered once more. Maybe, with a little luck, she could use the video recorder. Finch had said something about a specific frequency. Frantically, she rummaged through her pockets, searching for the information he'd scribbled on a crumpled piece of paper. Relief flooded her as she found it. Numbers and symbols swam before her eyes. "Lily, stay here," she commanded, her voice firm despite the fear gnawing at her. She didn't want to leave her daughter alone, but there was no other option. Evelyn scrambled up the rickety fire escape, her heart pounding. She reached the roof, offering a precarious view of the chaotic battle below. Ignoring the swirling wind and the sickening smells filling the air, she pointed the recorder at the Combine's towering headquarters, its metallic surface reflecting the unnatural light. With trembling fingers, she entered the frequency from the note. A faint hum filled the air, barely audible over the roaring battle. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Desperate, Evelyn started pushing buttons, fiddling with other settings, praying for a miracle. The sky above pulsed ominously, the air crackling with corrupt energy. Lily's small voice calling out to her from below cut through the cacophony, a sharp reminder of what she was fighting for. Suddenly, a high-pitched whine ripped through the air. The video recorder sparked, the screen flickering violently. Evelyn flinched, fearing it had broken. But then, a wave of energy surged through the city. The monstrous figure convulsed, screaming in an otherworldly voice. The chaotic energy sputtered and died, retreating back into the power plant. The sky began to regain its normal color, the air clearing slowly. The monstrous figure collapsed, its form dissolving into a cloud of dust. Silence descended, broken only by the distant cries of injured civilians. Evelyn looked down at the street below. The Tariff Man stood there, motionless, his red eyes flickering erratically. Then, with a groan, his body began to crumble, dissolving into a pile of ash that scattered in the wind. Had they won? The question hung heavy in the air, as thick as the dust settling around Evelyn. The monstrous entity was gone, the Tariff Man reduced to ash, but the city lay in ruins. Sirens wailed in the distance, a chilling reminder of the devastation. Evelyn stumbled down the fire escape, her legs shaky with relief and exhaustion. Lily ran towards her, tears streaming down her face. They clung to each other, a small island of comfort in the midst of the wreckage. Looking around, Evelyn saw fear and confusion etched on the faces of the survivors. Whispers of the destroyer and the Combine's wrath filled the air. The relief of their apparent victory was overshadowed by a gnawing uncertainty. What had they unleashed by disrupting the power source? Was this the end of the Combine, or a temporary setback? Was the city forever scarred by the chaotic energy? Evelyn looked at the video recorder clutched tightly in Lily's hand. The screen remained dark, the fate of their message unknown. In the distance, the Combine headquarters loomed ominously, its metallic surface now marred by scorch marks. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ruined city, a single, chilling thought echoed in Evelyn's mind. The fight for survival had just begun.